Fungeon Master here. You know, there are an awful lot of resources for making your own terrain online, especially on YouTube.
Dollar store, really cheap twine. And what I'm going to do is just cut off a section. All right, let's give you a look at this bad boy. All right, here we go. I think that...
Of course, there's DM Scotty, who does fantasy miniature terrain for Dungeons & Dragons.
Hi, I'm DMG, and we're going to talk about why craft your own modular dungeon terrain.
And there's DMG, who also makes modular terrain for Dungeons & Dragons.
Out some pieces, measure out some pieces for what you want to make, and in the case of us, we're making a square for the base and two smaller walls.
And there's that guy who's also making terrain for Dungeons & Dragons.
I love you. I love my armies. They'll look familiar to a few of you that follow me on Facebook or Google+. But it's a Lizardmen temple.
More fantasy stuff. Great!
That you can build houses or
dungeons. God damn it. Wow, there sure are a lot of dungeon tutorials online. I don't mean to shit on Dungeons & Dragons. I love D&D. I'll sit down and play it right now. But by the time I was 16, I had already played way too much of it. I had moved on to other games, and these days my favorite games are set in a modern setting. So where are the tutorials for that? There aren't any. Let's see, we put miniature modern terrain in YouTube, and what do we get? Magical miniatures, fast building miniature terrain, ruins, water and waves. No, nothing. And that is why I'm dedicating the next couple episodes of Miniature Mashup to your post-apocalypters, your spies, your super fruits, and whatever other modern settings and monsters you could come up with. So, why am I showing you Walmart.com photos? Well, that's where I had these tiles, modern tiles, that I've downloaded and edited in Photoshop, made. That's probably the cheapest place where you can go to get 4x6 photographs produced and sent right to your house. I think it's somewhere between 14 and 19 cents per photo. If you know someplace cheaper, please leave it in the comment section. I'd love to know. Now, what I'm doing is laying these out in a large room. I'm going to use a glue stick. It's acid-free, so it doesn't eat the photographs. We're going to need a safety knife, and we're also going to use a Sharpie for this project. Obviously, cardboard as well. Now, I'm just laying these out. I cut the cardboard with a slight margin for a border around the photographs. That's sort of in the 2.5 style, although I won't be painting anything because I don't want to get paint on the photos, and not really going for the mixed media look that much, and we're trying to keep this real simple. You'll see what I do with the borders later. That's where the Sharpie comes in. Now, I'm lining these up as neatly as possible. What's cool about this acid-free paste is you have plenty of time once you've applied it to slide that photograph around before it congeals and sticks the photo there permanently. So take your time, get everything lined up nice and neat, because once it's down, it's down. And we're going to stick this on here again. I just sort of apply the glue stick and nice even strokes. Doesn't have to be on super thick. And once we've applied that, you also want to make sure you get the corners. You're going to see me come back and get these corners, make sure they're all down, because if they pop up and people are moving miniatures around on top of it, they're going to peel the whole thing up or bend it, and after a while it's going to degrade past the point of usability, and you don't want that since you're putting your time and money into this. Not much money though, that is the whole point of this show, so doing this on the cheap. Now, the tiles I'm using here, I downloaded online. You just go to Google and put in modern gaming tiles, or Star Wars was a line that Wizards of the Coast put out for a while, and they made game tiles for that. And a lot of those are floating around online. I'm not saying you should pirate them. If you do get them, make sure you alter them. You can use them as source material. Change them enough so you're not infringing on any copyrights, and go ahead and just print those out. You send them to Walmart, and they'll come back with 4x8s. Make sure you leave notes for Walmart also that they cut the photos correctly, because if they cut them wrong and they trim one side too much, then you're not going to have a very good tile for your game. You want to make sure they are 4x8, and the way to do that is when you finish your image, count the number of game tiles and make sure your image is a I'm sorry, I said 4x8. It's 4 by 6 inches is what your standard photograph is, and that's the cheapest one. Now here I am, I've got all the different tiles glued down. I'm going to apply the border, and for that I use a hot glue gun. You can see I just let a big strip of hot glue and a strip of cardboard on top of that to act as a wall in the 2.5D style. I'm also going to line up with the tiles. I'm going to use the marker just to make straight lines, and that's going to make it look like it's bricked, basically, so it looks like the wall's been constructed, and that's a good effect as well. I'm just using Sharpie for that, so it just doesn't look like cardboard there. I want to give it another little point of interest. Then we're going to run the ruler lengthwise, and we're just going to do a nice even sections. We're going to put dots here to look like nails driven in, or bolts, so it looks machined. And just straight up like that. It's a little tedious, but the overall effect is worth it when it's all said and done. And we're just going up like that, nice and even. I'm making good use of the ruler here. You can probably do it neater than I did. As you can see, I didn't cut the cardboard particularly straight. I didn't apply that last line in a particularly straight fashion, but it still looks fine. You can probably take a little bit longer and do a better job, but for me the whole point is how easy it is. And that was some of the other tiles you can find, and here's what it looks like when it's all laid out, when it's all said and done. Thanks for watching Miniature Mashup. Next episode is going to be blast doors and giant robots, two staples of science fiction and superheroes gaming. So tune in next time. I'll have that up in the next day or two.